You're watching Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust TV. And fintech companies across the nation have started notifying their customers of plans to begin the deduction of 50 naira electronic money transfer levy, according to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, that is the FIRS. There has been some messages so far that have been received by some customers, and OPay has sent messages saying that please be informed that starting on the 9th of September, that is 2 days ago, a one-time fee of 50 naira will be applied to electronic transfers of 10,000 naira and above, paid into your personal or business account in compliance with the Federal Inland Revenue Service regulation. And also we have seen messages that MoneyPoint has sent to customers saying that a 50 naira fee would be charged on inflows you receive of 10,000 naira and above from Monday the 9th of September 2024. Your BRM is available to answer questions you might have, and other fintech companies are expected to follow suit and implement the EMTL on electronic transactions. But I am joined now by my guest, who is a financial analyst in the person of Muktar Mohammed. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily today.
Thank you.
Let's just begin by you giving us some kind of understanding regarding the rationale of, the EMTL, that is the Electronic Money Transfer Levy, and the revenue expectations by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Because while we went through a social media comment, most Nigerians are saying, oh, it looks as though when we are beaten on one side and we are falling and just about to, stand up again, we are being hit by another levy. But let's hear from you. What is the rationale behind this, and what are the revenue expectations by the FIRS?
I think it's all about revenue. You've said it all. So it's all about revenue. It's not about the businesses. It's how government are just thinking about how they can make revenue out of the businesses. That's what they are exactly doing. It's nothing more, because electronic money transfer levy is not new, but it's being paid only by commercial banks. So now they are not taking it to the fintech space, and that is what makes the fintechs attractive, because of these levies that you don't have to pay for receiving maybe receiving cash. That's what makes it attractive, especially for those in the rural area and for those low-end Nigerians, the artisan, the vulcanizer, the hairdresser, and also students. These are what makes them exciting to patronize all this point. So what we are saying now, we are going to see a reduction in terms of participation. When women just go back to where people decide to keep their cash at home, especially the rural people. So I think I've said it over and over again that this government just think all about levies, fees, and taxes. Which, for me, level fees and taxes are not bad if they are done in a way that help business grow. No, you're taking the 15 naira from them, then you take it into the Federal Inland Revenue, you share it within the tiers of government. You're not looking at building a very strong cybersecurity backbone for some of these fintech companies, knowing that some of them have lost huge money because of lack of cybersecurity. Those are things that I think the government should be doing, rather than just thinking about how you can levy. And not even at the time whereby the government established this tax reform and levy committee that is taking up reduction in terms of levies and taxes, businesses, and here we are now. We are seeing these taxes there. Now, the impact of this is that most of these fintech companies, like I said, they want that drive transaction in the rural area. So you are going to be seeing that cost of production and cost of transactions in those rural areas has gone up. And so the farmer now that is going to pay an extra 15 naira for that, we in turn passed it on to the end user. So you see that fee will come up by that 15 naira. So if you are paying 10 naira before, he will tell you now it's not 10 naira, 50 come up, because he has to pay that 15 naira. So those are part of the issues that the government is not looking at. They're just looking at, just the one up, we collect 15 naira, and they think, but it has a snowball effect on other areas of Nigeria, especially where Nigerians are even struggling to make ends meet.
You have spoken regarding the snowball effect, and that is not new. I mean, most business analysts, the business watchers in Nigeria have constantly been hammering on the business environment in Nigeria and how, businesses are struggling to stay afloat. But let's speak regarding the impact on this. You've spoken as to, how these fees or transaction fees might increase, especially since people in rural areas are more, prone to using fintechs rather than normal banks. But what do you foresee? How do you foresee this impacting, the competitiveness of fintechs across the nation? And do you think this will impact, digital banking and the fintech ecosystem as a whole?
Well, I think what we'll see a reduction in terms of innovation from that fintech space. We might not see the kind of innovation that we think we'll see. We won't see a lot of fintech company coming up because the cost itself has gone up. What you see now, what drove people away from the traditional banking space, they might be forced to go back to those spaces. And when they go back to those spaces, like I said, they are going to lose a lot of customers, and then you will see a lot of people carrying cash. The big part of it is that this fintech company has come in to provide a lot of employment, especially from youth in Nigeria. So these are challenges that I think the government has not really looked at, because again, it's for me, it's going to stave up innovation. That's for me, that's the key. While fintechs have been driving economy in other parts of the world, and we thought that they should be driving those economy here in Nigeria, but we're having those challenges in terms of levies and taxes. Like I said, levies and taxes are things that are paid globally. But when you begin to pay too much levies, you begin to levy people, you begin to levy business, they begin to pay taxes. It amount to almost double taxation.
Yeah, I am only, reacting to your point around taxing. And the FIRS has come out to say that it is, targeting about 157.5 billion naira in the year 2024 through the EMTL, that is the Electronic Money Transfer Fund. But what are your thoughts on that, seeing that the FIRS generated even more in the past year, about 180.3 in the year 2023?
No, if you are generating so much money in your house, you are making so much money, and your people are being impoverished, so what's the essence of making those money? You are making money, and the earning ability of the average Nigerian is coming down. Infrastructure is decaying by the day. We are not seeing that. We are seeing that a lot of Nigerians are going below the poverty levy. We are getting a lot of Nigerians entering more into poverty, and you say you are earning so much. We are not seeing the effect. Since this government came to power, they have been able to improve in terms of revenue, in terms of the revenue sharing between them, and every aspect of government has improved. But the life of the ordinary Nigerians has not improved. Rather, we have seen a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. So for me, I'm not excited when you make so much revenue and at the end of the day, the people are suffering. It doesn't make sense. So if we will be seeing these revenues begin to build good roads, we see this revenue creating more jobs, we see this revenue building more hospitals, making our education more attractive, rather than people paying fees to go to private schools. They begin to make government schools attractive. Then I'll be excited about it. This revenue comes in and is shared by the 3 tiers of government, and you see them going, most of the state government or even local government or even presidency, doing white elephant projects with some of these funders. So it don't get you excited when you hear that we make so much revenue, but yet the life of the average Nigerian has not improved. So until we begin to put those revenues into use, we begin to see how these revenues are building, are expanding our economy, are creating jobs, are getting people out of poverty line, then that's when people like me will be excited. But for now, I think it's more or less creating more revenue for the politicians to share within themselves.
You have spoken regarding double taxation, and unfortunately, conversations around that is not just starting. It has gone on for a long time now. What are your recommendations, towards addressing that?
I think the best committee the government has is a tax reform committee. I say it with all due respect to that committee. This committee is working tirelessly to make sure that we see business grow. It has come up before, it was 25 million, they have moved it to 50 million in terms of turnover. They have had about exemption, in tax exemption for smaller businesses. They've done so much work, and I personally think that is the best job But now it's best to, it has to go through legislation and it has to come back to the president. That's my own main challenge. I think if we are looking at what the government should do, they're already doing it through the tax reform committee. I think they should stick to that. They should see how they can hasten that process through the legislations so they can come, and then you see a lot of business will not suffer the kind of levies that they are suffering, because they are talking about reducing the levy for almost 200 and something to just 8 levies, and also taxation. So that, for me, they have done that good job. So we need to see this policy implemented, passed in the House, and then we begin to see implementation. For me, I don't think I have, well, my advice for the government: go back to your tax reform committee. Everything they have recommended, I think, is the best for Nigeria.
Well said. We have seen Mr. Taiwo Oyedele so far, bring about some interesting reforms in the taxation aspect of Nigeria. But let's speak regarding, the adaptation. Like I stated at the start of the interview, most of these fintech companies have already started since the 9th of September. That is 2 days ago. I know that OPay has started, effecting these deductions, money point as well. But there are concerns around, fintech companies balancing the compliance with the directive of the FIRS and also maintaining their customer base, which, like you rightly stated, are people majorly in the rural areas who are accustomed to, low-cost fee transfers. But what would your advice be for these fintech companies who are trying to, balance retaining customers and adapting to the new directive by the FIRS?
Then what I would ask is retaining customer, adaptive, and making profit, because they're in business to make profit. So now what they need to do is maybe they may begin to look at their profit margins, the fees that they charge. They might begin to think of how to reduce those fees so that they can still get the kind of customers that they still have. For me, that's the only adaptation. Then the other one is to begin to think of how they can reduce their overhead costs. Like I said, that means they might have to reduce their number of employees that they have, because that's also key to bring down expenditure. So for me, I think 2 things they need to do. They need to also look at their levies, see how they can also begin to take a bite on their levy so that they can still have this customer base. And then secondly, also begin to look at their overhead costs, and then look at how they can reduce the numbers of employers, which is sad. But then if you're in business, to make profit, and they cannot go against the federal inland revenue. That comes with a lot of penalties, and just like what has happened to some of the fintech companies before now, where they didn't comply with the KYC, so that some of them were out of business for some time. So the same thing we apply if they don't comply with the federal inland revenue. So I think they have the need to comply with it, but again, they need to begin to look at profitability of their companies, and so maybe they will have to take a bite of their revenue.
Well said. Compliance is very important, like you have rightly stated. But I'd like for us to talk regarding the cashless economy initiative. The CBN has been very vocal about, the cashless economy and its plans towards that, especially for the year 2025, talking about reducing, the use or cash usage in the nation. Will this in any way, affect the adoption of the cashless payment in Nigeria?
Definitely it will. Like I said, the rural area especially, most of them deals via cashless through some of these points. Before now, they were using the POS terminals, and the POS terminal will still have to come with cash. This is the only avenue they have that they do cashless. So definitely it will affect this cashless policy. That's why I'm surprised with the CBN saying by 2025 we have more people doing cashless transaction. That's why I'm surprised with them agreeing to some of this what the suggestion that the federal inland revenue is coming. I expect the CBN governors to be talking to the federal inland revenue at this moment to see how can we reduce this, because this is our goal in the future. And when you get people into cashless, it reduces a lot of fraud in the system, especially also help in terms of security. So I think the CBN should be the one acting on behalf of this fintech, because they are the regulators. Talk to federal inland revenue and see what can come out of it.
But you have hammered on, the perspective of the CBN so far. But let me hear from you now. How would you appraise the effort of the CBN and, not just the government agencies or ministries within the fiscal side, but the monetary side as well, especially towards ensuring that the business environment in Nigeria is attractive enough? Are you seeing, some positive impact on the policies that we have seen so far come out from the fiscal and monetary sides of government?
Well, I have not seen, for the physical side, I have not seen anything. We have still had tariff. What I was were expecting was the president signing into law the suspension of tariff on household item. And this has gone on for 2 months now, and the customer is saying they are still waiting for the Ministry of Finance to embrace them with companies that will be exempted, products that will be exempted. So we are not seeing that from the physical side. So we are still seeing high cost of living within Nigerians. For the monetary side, we have not seen those rate cuts that will make the cost of doing business come up. So we are still getting rate hike because of the inflationary pressures that have been coming in, and also added to that is the exchange rate volatility, especially from the monetary side. They've not been able to stabilize the exchange rate, which is their core duty. They've not been able to also attract a lot of investment, which has to do with the physical side. So definitely, when I look at that, I don't think anything concrete has really come out from that space. But like I was going to say, still early days. These are policies, these are reforms. Reforms do not see the light of day immediately. They go through a lot of processes. But I have my worried about this current reform, because again, you need to begin to see signs of the future, what it will hold like. But as it stands, and we are not seeing that, because again, what you tend to gain in one hand, you lose in the other hand.
I did listen to a debate earlier today where someone was saying, that this reform could potentially lead to some sort of innovation or changes in the digital banks and mobile money operator structure. But do you agree with that school of thought?
Well, it depends. It could lead, and that means what will happen is that you will not have small players again. You begin to have the big players. So now what it means is that, remember, the banks are also thinking of playing that fintech companies. That's why some of them is doing this, the right of offer or the public offer, telling is towards building a very robust fintech company. So what you see is that the mighty will kill the small, and the small are the ones that are closer to the rural people. So we might just begin to see that happen. And some of those fintech companies that will survive, we might be also hijacked by high-net investors that are there to make the money. They may not have the technical ability to run such businesses, because when these guys are looking for money for expansion because of cost of funding has gone up, they approach these guys, and these guys are giving them outrageous condition, and they will have to meet it because they want to be in business. But if CBN is able to maintain a very good monetary policy, fight inflation, bring monetary rate down, then there will not be need for that. So that, for me, is what is definitely going to happen.
Okay, but generally speaking, what is your outlook for the fintech industry? Say short-term outlook and long-term outlook.
I think it's still positive. It's still positive. There's no how you can kill a business that has come to stay. They will re-strategize, they will readapt, and they will come up better and stronger. That's what I think. We may begin to see merger and acquisition in some of these fintech companies.
And in the long term, do you also see that happening, talking about mergers and acquisitions between these fintech companies?
Definitely, I see that happening. I see some of these fintechs become large player in the financial sector, even maybe owning a bank also, and also still dealing with the fintech side of it, and that will be their strong selling point to attract a lot of customers and investors.
Well said. But just before we go, we are approaching the last quarter of the year. A lot to look forward to regarding, the entire Nigerian economy. But let's hear from you. What are your expectations? Talking about inflation, you've already, highlighted inflationary pressures, and also, rates, the monetary policy rate from the CBN. Generally speaking, what are your expectations regarding these policies from the government?
Well, inflation, my expectation was that we're going to see inflation come down drastically, but with the recent happening, especially the hike in petroleum price, we might not achieve that. So I'm not expecting that. For the monetary side, I was thinking that we're going to see for the first time after a long time, rate will be cut so that smaller business will be able to access funds at a cheaper rate. But I'm not that optimistic again, because the inflationary pressure will have to be very high now. It will be very high, especially with this current decision on hiking petroleum products. So we could still continue to see a rate hike, and that is not good for smaller business. So my forecast going into the third quarter, I think, is still it still looks a little bit gloomy.
Muktar Mohammed, financial analyst, speaking to the recently introduced 15 naira electronic money transfer levy by the FIRS to fintech companies across the nation. Thank you very much for all the insights that you have shared with us on today's edition of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Interesting conversation there. And like I did state before, most of these fintech companies have already started to, to implement the 50 naira tax introduced by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and we have gotten messages by some of these companies to their customers across the nation. We have seen messages from OPay, we have seen messages from MoneyPoint talking about the starting of the implementation of the 50 naira EMTL. EMTL is the electronic money transfer levy, which is expected to boost government revenue. And while some may say, oh, this is a step in the right direction, some others are saying, why is the Nigerian, or the average Nigerian, constantly burdened with, the burden, I should call it, regarding government revenue and generating revenue across the nation. I mean, very, very, very interesting perspectives have been gotten so far, especially when we went through the social media comments today. But do well to continue, sharing your thoughts with us across all our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and on YouTube, and we will be there to engage with you. And this is where we say our goodbyes in today's edition of Business Daily. Thank you for watching. My name is Chiamaka Enendu.